Welcome to the deep dive. Ever find yourself wondering why um, our closest relationships can sometimes feel so tangled?
Yeah, like a really complicated knot you're trying to figure out.
Exactly. So today we're going to try and untangle some of that. We'll look at codependency, uh, what real connection looks like versus maybe losing yourself in someone. Fusion, they call it.
And that whole mystery around desire, especially in long-term relationships, why it fades or how it stays alive.
Right. We've got some great sources to guide us. Pia Mellody on codependence, an article looking at intimacy and autonomy, Esther Perel's work on desire.
And also a really interesting take from Anna Evziva on YouTube about true closeness.
Our goal here is basically to sift through all these ideas, pull out the core insights, and maybe give you, the listener, a clearer picture.
Yeah, hopefully offer some practical understanding for building healthier connections
Hmm,
with others and, importantly, with yourself too.
definitely. Because these are big topics, the kind you think about, but maybe don't always have the words for. So, let's jump in. Maybe starting with codependency. Pia Mellody's work is really foundational here.
It really is. And she has this great analogy. It's like the fish doesn't know it's wet,
Meaning,
meaning many of us might be swimming in codependent patterns without even realizing it. So just recognizing them, that's the huge first step.
okay. And she points to, what, 5 main symptoms or areas where this shows up?
That's right. 5 core symptoms. The first one revolves around self-esteem, but it's not quite as simple as just feeling good or bad.
Oh, so?
Well, Melody talks about different kinds of unhealthy self-esteem. There's the really low kind, feeling fundamentally less than others, inferior.
Okay, that makes sense.
But then there's also, surprisingly, very high self-esteem, like an inflated sense of self, which often, hides deep insecurity.
Like overcompensating.
Exactly. And the third type she mentions is other esteem. That's when your worth is totally tied up in external things.
Like your job or what people think of you or maybe how much money you make.
Precisely. So your value isn't internal, it comes from outside. Melody's point is that healthy self-esteem is more stable, more internal, not swinging wildly based on external stuff.
That's a really helpful way to think about it. So whether you're constantly down on yourself or always puffing yourself up, or your day is ruined by a negative comment online, those could be
It could
signs.
be indicators, yeah. The second area is boundaries, or rather dysfunctional boundary systems.
This feels like a big one. Boundaries come up a lot.
They're central to codependency. Melody describes a few ways this goes wrong, like having no boundaries, just letting people walk all over you, or maybe you invade their space without meaning to.
Or the opposite, like walls.
Right, putting up impenetrable walls, not healthy limits, but like defenses, keep everyone out.
Anything in between.
Yes. She talks about damaged boundaries, where you kind of know they should be there, but you can't consistently maintain them. And then there's this pattern of swinging between walls and no boundaries at all. Really exhausting.
Wow, yeah. Walls up, then suddenly desperate for connection so all boundaries dissolve. That sounds unstable.
It really is. It points to that lack of a solid internal core. Okay, the third symptom, reality struggles.
Reality struggles. What does that mean exactly?
It's about being disconnected from your own reality, your inner world, or even how you perceive the outer world.
She breaks that down, doesn't she? Level A and level B.
Yeah. Level A is like, you know your reality, your thoughts, feelings, what you see, but you don't share it. You keep it hidden.
Okay. And level B.
Level B is deeper.
Yeah.
It's where you're actually disconnected from your own reality. You might have distorted ideas about yourself, be unaware of what you're truly feeling or thinking, or blind to how your actions affect others.
That sounds quite disorienting, like not knowing yourself at all.
It points to significant internal confusion, yes.
Yeah.
Symptom number 4 is about needs and wants, difficulty identifying and fulfilling them.
So not just not getting what you want, but maybe not even knowing what you need.
Exactly. Or being too dependent, relying on others for everything. Or the flip side, anti-dependent, refusing all help, even when you need it.
Like, I've got this, even when you're clearly drowning.
Right. And then there's just being plain unaware of your needs and wants, or, and this is subtle, confusing them.
Confusing needs and wants. Give me an example.
Like feeling lonely. That's a need for connection, but trying to fill it by constantly shopping online. The shopping is a want. It doesn't actually meet the underlying need for connection.
Got it. Trying to patch a hole with the wrong material.
Precisely. And the fifth symptom is struggles with moderation, that tendency towards too much or too little.
In what areas?
All sorts of things. How you look, your emotions, huge swings, your behavior, even how you handle problems, like thinking about divorce after one argument. jumping to extremes.
Instead of finding that middle ground, that balance.
Yes. So, recognizing any of these patterns, Mellody says, is the vital starting point for understanding if codependency is playing a role in your life.
And it feels like these boundary issues especially link directly to this next idea. The difference between real intimacy and fusion.
Absolutely. Because we often get this message, don't we, that love means becoming one, always available, always agreeing.
Yeah, total merging. But is that actually intimacy?
Well, according to these perspectives, that merging where boundaries blur and you rely on the other person to manage your feelings, that whole "I'm only okay if you're okay" thing, that's much closer to codependency.
Like a survival strategy almost. The article called it survival mode bonding.
Exactly. It's about filling a need, maybe desperately, rather than two whole people choosing to connect.
So if that's fusion, what does true intimacy look like then?
True intimacy is about, well, connection between individuals. It means you connect deeply, but you each stay grounded in yourselves. You respect each other's separateness, their boundaries, their individuality.
So there's still a you and a me, even when you're deeply connected, like that idea of a space of connection between two people.
Beautifully put, yes. It's connection without annihilation of the self.
Which actually brings us neatly to Esther Perel's work, because this whole idea of separateness versus closeness is central to understanding desire, right?
Oh, absolutely. Perel throws a huge wrench in the common idea that more closeness always equals more passion.
She argues it can be the opposite.
Pretty much. She says intimacy often thrives on safety, predictability, knowing what to expect. But desire often needs space, mystery, maybe even a little uncertainty.
That feels so paradoxical. We want the safety of love, but the spark needs something else.
Exactly. She asked the big question, can we desire what we already have? You know, what feels completely known and possessed.
The million-dollar question for long-term couples.
Right. And she explores why forbidden things can feel erotic, the power of crossing a line, even mentally. She even jokes about babies being the fatal erotic blow.
Small chuckle, acknowledging the reality for many parents. But she makes a key distinction, doesn't she, between loving and desiring.
Yes, loving, she links to have. It seeks closeness, security, minimizing distance, wanting to hold on to something.
And desire.
Desiring is to want. It's often sparked by seeing the other person as separate, as an other. There needs to be a gap, a bridge to cross. Desire needs that space.
Like her analogy, a fire needs air. Too much closeness smothers the flames.
That's the one. Without air, without space, the fire just goes out.
Okay, so if constant closeness can dampen desire, what does her research say does sustain it? What keeps that fire lit?
Well, interestingly, she found people often feel most drawn to their partner when they've been apart. That reunion moment.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And maybe desire, too.
It seems so. It gives imagination room to work, creates longing, but it's also about how you see your partner.
What do you mean?
When you see your partner really in their element, doing something they love, looking confident, radiant, sort of self-contained.
We're not needing you in that moment, just shining on their own.
Exactly. That creates a kind of attractive distance. The familiar person suddenly seems a little mysterious again, elusive. You admire them.
So it's admiration, not just need.
Precisely. She notes that a key element of desire is actually a lack of neediness and caretaking. Obviously, care is vital for love, but too much mothering or fathering can kill the spark.
And novelty. Is it just about trying new things?
Not just techniques, no. Perel says it's more about bringing out different parts of yourself or seeing different sides of your partner. Sex becomes a space, a place you go to explore those hidden facets.
She calls eroticism sexuality transformed by the human imagination. That's beautiful.
Isn't it? It highlights anticipation, playfulness, curiosity, mystery,
Hmm.
all ingredients of what she terms erotic intelligence.
And she links a lack of desire to a lack of imagination.
Yeah, a crisis of desire is a crisis of imagination, which makes sense when you think about the pressure we put on modern relationships.
How so?
We expect one person to be our best friend, passionate lover, co-parent, financial partner, roles once filled by a whole village.
Right. Trying to reconcile that need for security and adventure in one person. That's the tightrope walk.
It's a huge ask. And she also looked at what specifically turns desire on or off for people. It's very revealing.
What does she find? What turns it off?
People often said things like, I shut myself off when I feel dead inside, or when struggling with body image, feeling rushed, low self-esteem, or even feeling like they don't deserve pleasure.
Wow. So much of it is internal. It's not always about the partner.
Very often it starts within. And conversely, turning on was also often internal, reconnecting with her own sense of wanting, feeling entitled to pleasure.
Which highlights another paradox she mentions, right? That the things nurturing love can sometimes kill desire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Love thrives on mutuality, responsibility, safety. But desire, it sometimes needs a little selfishness, staying connected to your own feelings, maybe even a hint of jealousy or aggression, things that don't always fit neatly into the nice picture of love.
It's complex. She uses an analogy, too, about a child.
Yes, the child secure on the parent's lap, who then feels safe enough to go explore, knowing they can return. It illustrates that need for both a secure base and the freedom to be separate.
And the problems arise when one partner's issues, maybe anxiety or depression, keeps the other one from exploring.
Right. It can lead to the exploring partner feeling guilty or suppressing their own needs or maybe leaving and not really coming back emotionally. It disrupts that natural dance of connection and separation.
So, based on all this, what do couples who do maintain that erotic spark actually do? What are the practical things?
Perel observed they often have clear sexual privacy. They understand foreplay isn't just 5 minutes before, it's an ongoing thing.
Starts after the last orgasm, she says.
Exactly. They consciously create an erotic space, leaving the to-do lists and the management side of life outside the bedroom door.
They carve out time for it.
Yes, and they accept that passion waxes and wanes, and they know how to consciously bring it back. They ditch the myth that great sex is always spontaneous. Often it's planned, it's intentional.
That actually sounds achievable. Less pressure. Now, Anna Evseva's perspective on closeness adds another really vital layer here, moving beyond just the erotic.
It really does. She pushes back against the fairy tale idea of constant comfort and agreement in relationships.
What does she suggest instead?
She defines true closeness as the ability to withstand each other in all states.
Withstand. That sounds intense.
It is, but she's clear it's not about putting up with abuse or being a doormat. It's about staying present, staying connected, even when things are difficult during conflict, when you disagree, when one person is feeling anger, sadness, anxiety.
So accepting the whole person, not just the easy parts.
Exactly. She says anxiety is actually normal in close relationships. It's part of the deal because intimacy requires vulnerability, showing the messy, imperfect bits.
And genuine closeness only really starts when you feel safe enough to be imperfect, to be different, maybe even irritated, and know the connection holds.
That's her point. Seeing the other person fully, with all their feelings and staying there. And crucially, it starts with being able to withstand your own difficult emotions.
If you can't sit with your own sadness, you can't really sit with someone else's.
Precisely. If you run from your own discomfort, you'll likely try to fix or shut down someone else's. She notes therapy can be a place to practice this withstanding.
And imbalances can cause problems, like if one partner grows in this area and the other doesn't.
Huge friction, yeah.
Yeah.
If one person learns to express difficult feelings, but the other person can't handle it, can't withstand it, that creates distance.
She also normalizes needing space sometimes, right? And the difficulty if a partner takes that personally.
Yes, needing distance is okay. Expressing discomfort is okay. But the relationship struggles if one person interprets that as rejection instead of just a temporary state. She distinguishes healthy expression from, yelling matches or the silent treatment.
Which often comes from fear, right? Fear of rejection if we show our true feelings.
A huge part of it. And this ability to withstand needs to be reciprocal for real closeness. It can't just be one person doing all the emotional heavy lifting.
Otherwise, it's just convenient.
Yeah,
Superficial.
exactly. She suggests we might settle for those easier connections because we're afraid of the discomfort involved in true withstanding and miss out on deeper intimacy.
So why is it so hard to withstand each other?
Well, for one, emotions are contagious.
Yeah.
Someone's anxiety can easily make us anxious.
Okay, that makes sense.
And there's that almost automatic urge to fix it, to give advice, cheer them up, make the uncomfortable feeling go away instead of just being with them in it.
We want to solve the problem.
We do. There can also be a fear, maybe unconscious, that if the person stays sad or angry, we might lose them. Or we might have unrealistic hopes that our partner should fix our stuff.
And just the general discomfort our culture has with negative emotions, especially in romance. We want the happily ever after picture.
Right. Plus that underlying fear. If they see my flaws, my difficult feelings, will they still want me?
So how do we get better at it? How do we learn to withstand?
Evseva says the first step is learning to withstand yourself. Recognize your own feelings, anxiety, anger, sadness, and practice just sitting with them, not immediately acting on them or pushing them away.
Build your own tolerance first.
Exactly. Then practice being present with others without jumping in to fix. Just listen. Offer support, not solutions, unless asked.
And remember that feelings aren't permanent.
Yes. Differentiate the feeling from the person and the relationship. Someone can be angry at you without stopping loving you. Their feeling is temporary. The connection can endure.
That requires a certain level of emotional self-reliance too, doesn't it? Meeting some of your own needs.
Definitely. Not total independence, but a healthy sense of self, so you're not overwhelmed by their emotions. Remember, closeness is about contact, not agreement. Conflict, handled well, can actually deepen trust.
It's not always comfy, but it keeps things real, alive.
Absolutely. And if you struggle with this, if Sia suggests it might just be that you haven't learned how. It's a skill, not necessarily a flaw.
Where does it begin then?
It begins where you can resist that urge to run away physically or emotionally from the discomfort, where you allow yourself and the other person to be vulnerable, different, not always strong.
Maybe just saying, I feel anxious right now is a start.
That can be a huge first step. Sharing your vulnerability invites connection. Closeness happens between two people in that open contact. Being touched by someone requires you to be open to them.
So wrapping this all up, it really feels like these ideas, codependency, intimacy, desire, they're all connected.
Deeply intertwined, yeah. Codependent patterns seem to block true intimacy. And without that sense of self and separateness, authentic desire struggles.
And this ability to withstand each other, to navigate closeness and distance with vulnerability, that seems key to making relationships truly fulfilling, both with others and, well, with ourselves.
It's about moving past the simple narratives and embracing the richer, sometimes harder reality of genuine connection.
Definitely something to chew on. So for you listening, maybe think about which of these concepts sparked something for you. What's one small thing you could explore or notice in your own life starting today? Just a thought to leave you with.